Hello London folks, welcome and welcome back. This is Gnomes, and this is the continuation of this cartoony 2D character making, right? So today I'm going to go for what might be the last big retake. Maybe there will be very little thing to do here. I want to retake the face. So just a refinement here of the character design, because there are some things here in the grease pencil. I see some original drawings here. I've made a sketch on paper, then the image is very bad, the webcam picture, but we can see quite well what she looks like, Aisha. So basically the face is quite angular featured, and here in 3D, although it is quite like that, I feel like there is things to do, especially on the nose. And here I have some model shit, but I've seen some ideas, some reference on how making those characters adaptation from 2D to 3D, because it's a learning process, right? We never know everything, it's impossible, but we can know good and bad techniques, of course. And there is something that I only imagined, but I wasn't able to replicate, that would be like to have character drawings like that, like loose sketches on some interesting positions, which are also can also be considered model shit, and then we can directly pose the character on after it is rigged, right? To some extent we can directly pose the character to match on the perspective even certain drawings. This insight I've had since the beginning, because I've started to get of rigging in 3D, because I was very concerned about matching the stylized organic anatomy, although simplified, of my characters and their character designs, getting that splashed right in the 3D form. But then I spent so much time struggling with basic stuff, or medium, intermediate, advanced stuff of rigging, that I just stopped, never really attempt that for, yeah. And so then by watching that particular tutorial, just, by the way, if you're interested, let's try to find it, just because it would be model sheet. Let's see if I have this here. I'm using Firefox. Dragging background, no. Adding background, no. Sculpt, grease pencil, no. From, I think this one. Yes, I think this is this one. Yeah, so this tutorial very interesting, because
red areas will have the outline and the blue areas won't. So now I can really get a sense for what the character is going to look like. At this point, I can just complete the rest of the retopology for the clothes, following the exact same process of putting 8 vertices around the major landmarks of the mesh, and then just connecting them in a way that makes sense. With the whole character pretty much in place, I can start working on the final galaxy material.
This timestamp is wrong, but okay, let's go directly where it is. There's an example in the beginning.
To a model that actually looks like the character looked like, or expressions that the character...
So you see, model sheet, this is a real model sheet project from a project here. Cultural industry project.
And can't make. And as 3D artists, we also need to abide by these rules. So that's what...
So here...
this step is, I'm taking this model from a good-looking model to a model that actually looks like the character. I hope...
So, this was a character that was modeled, the 3D character that was modeled like following orthographic, regular, simple model shit, like I did, right? But if we pose, if you have a pose like that on drawing, for me this is easy, I come from a 2D background. So, and I love sketching poses. What I really dislike is posing orthographic front side view. Those regular stuff are bad to draw. I don't like that. Many artists don't like, but I personally dislike because it's not dynamic. It's actually much harder to draw good to yeah. So
Hopefully you can see here that
and so that then we pose the 3D model and try to the drawing to the model sheet, right? And start to work on the shapes, like reworking the model. You know, that probably can be achieved with this thing here. It's weird. It is weird. Or we do a model, or we could use corrective shape key for that. But that could have an interesting consequence, because then we are using shape keys, an extra thing, while we could have an alteration, a modification directly from where is the it doesn't have an armature modifier. So what I mean was just, anyways, where's the armature? No, it's deform armature. So it will be to check the to check the mesh with that, so we can on edit mode, so we can pose and see how the mesh is posed as it deforms or is modified, and then we can make changes to that particular action pose, to that pose, right? From edit mode, but this is a bit complicated, because when we do this, the vertices, they are fake vertices. Their actually position is somewhere else. Like if the arm is posed here, I don't know, maybe here the hand, then you try to find the location of the vertex. The vertex is not here, it's here, the original rest position, right? And so this is quite difficult to, not because of this only, but it affects the modeling. Sometimes we try to push to pull, make some transform on the mesh, and then it doesn't respond as normally as we are doing here. It has some strange behavior, and this makes this sort of edition it is feasible. And then there's another problem, that as the character, from theory here, what he's talking here, this guy, vertex arc, it's a very interesting technique. I had a few experience on that, and I have already conceived that, because I come from 2D, right? And so these ideas are not so hard to develop, but this is a great insight, a great idea. But then in theory is very nice, right? But in practice that can be very nightmarish, because besides what, at least in Blender, then we make some change here. But as we go back to pose mode, to the rest pose of the character, this shape that we change here on that pose, when we turn to the regular pose, maybe a T pose, maybe an A pose, then sometimes the mesh looks weird, especially if the deform is. So you see, this pose is not super. It's not a super radical pose. It's just a slightly differentiation. So the rotations are, of course, that will help in making those adjustments, but the challenge is that if you have a very exaggerated pose, maybe the arm is have a very high rotation, I don't know, closer to the head, then besides what we already know from rigging problems, then if you change the mesh there, then you go back to the T pose or something more regular, more not rested pose, then also there will be lots of bizarre thing. So it's like solving a problem of even character design that we can easily draw. If we're an artist, can easily draw whatever we want, but in the 3D language, because of the problems of rigging, you solve something there, but then you get the problem backwards. There's another. It creates another problem in another pose. Sometimes even the base pose, the T pose or A pose. So as good that this is, and I think this is very. I'm gonna use this. I'm not super confident that will solve all my problems, because that's the reality that I've met. Even though I was not exactly reproducing this method, I was doing something similar. I think at some point that would be the explanation
It makes
here.
a big difference. The adjusted version looks a lot more dynamic, and the shapes are a lot more appealing. The last thing to do now is to add line art.
No,
I have a
this is
full
line
line
art. So
art
in the
video
beginning there
where
was.
it has a lot of depth, but for this one the default settings worked out perfectly. At this point,
Okay, so you see the posing is happening, and you see here the armature. So there's the on cage and edit.
what I'm doing is pushing and pulling the mannequin around until it matches the reference pose. There's really nothing fancy happening here.
Okay, this is a mannequin, right?
I'm just trying to get the model to line up with the image, and keeping in mind that this is a 3D model, I'm always checking it from every angle to make sure that the model flows nicely. Sometimes when modeling things from a single reference image, they end up looking flat.
Oh yeah, and this is cheating, right? Cheating rigging, of course. But it's an interesting thing. I don't know how to. I'm intrigued about the possibility of having some sort of setup that could make something like that, because this will try to bypass the worst problems of the joints, rigging joints with the default and the base skinning methods, right? The skinning algorithms which will make all this nightmarish for all the joints. And so this is trying to bypass the problem. And curiously, for that character, it seems to have worked, but I haven't seen too much, right? And of course, it's wearing clothes, so maybe that the cloth helps in hiding this this structural thing. But if anyone finds a way to make this, because this will create what I call a ballistic motion or a ballistic rotation, this bypassing hence the blended waves or shared waves between the, for example, the shoulder and the upper arm, and then these ballistic, because there are no blended waves, then the rotation on the joint mesh will not generate artifacts. You see the mesh of the arm that is moving here might be all red, and it's not sharing waves with there, so nor the ball here in principle, so it will do a ballistic rotation. And so this is something that I don't have. I believe there is something that, like, we could think of some maybe physics, maybe some shrink wrap mesh on covering this, but it's I've tried. A long time ago, I've tried. It's not trivial. I don't think that there's a good solution for that. But I still think something very clever could be done. That I mean, not cloth, right? You need literally that the skin here would be some sort of clothing, right? So yeah. So
Because you become so focused on making it look correct from one angle that you forget that the model has to exist in 3D space, so it needs to look good from all angles.
yeah, so this is the explanation, right? So we have all these tons of model sheets, and then we start working, right?
This process usually only takes about 10 minutes, and once the mannequin is roughly in place, I can start sculpting to refine some more details. So I can remesh the model, and then I can start smoothing it out to remove all of the joints and seam lines, and I can easily do this with the inflate and smooth brushes. I smooth out everything until the joints disappear, and then I use the inflate.
What? Sorry, I need to.
Roughly
Maybe
needs to
he's
look good.
quick. I missed that. Is that some
correct from
sort
one
of...
angle that you forget that the model has to exist in 3D space, so it needs to look good from all angles. This process usually only takes about 10 minutes, and once the mannequin is roughly in place, I can start sculpting to refine some more details.
Sculpting, right?
So I can remesh the model and then
Remesh the entire model so it becomes just one single mesh?
I can start smoothing it out to remove all of the joints and seam lines, and I can easily do this with the inflate and smooth brushes. I smooth out everything until the joints disappear, and then I use the inflate brush to fill the area back in until it becomes relatively smooth.
Okay, so sorry, so this is not cheating, it's just like the mannequin turn into... Yeah, then, okay, it becomes organic, so it was just the beginning, so no, not what was I
For
was
that, I can
thinking.
do some basic sculpting with the clay strips brush to build up the forms. Sculpting isn't one of my strengths, so I just roughly get all of the muscle shapes and anatomical details in place, and then later I'll be refining this with retopology. There are some amazing sculptors out there who can turn a model
Okay, so it was just the beginning here, and that part that really caught my attention, because this is really interesting for this kind of attempts of 2D to 3D adaptation. So very rare and profound content in how to make stuff good. Sadly, it's very short and there's not enough content like that, but it gets these very fundamental techniques to solve some of the most challenging aspects. So when you draw characters, right, from sketch out stuff, poses, you do anything, but then the frustration, and that's why I like rigging, because when I draw, it's like I'm rigging, I'm drawing poses, all sort of poses, so I'm sort of rigging the character in 2D. So like this is rigged character, right? I select the pose, yeah, very basic pose here, not, but action pose, anything, I can do that. I love to make action poses, an expressive pose, whatever. And so here's more like a character design pose, very more static, but then that's it. So I immediately got interested in rigging after losing the gigantic fear I had about it, because it sounded alien to me. What? Rigging? I just model and now I need to rig? It didn't make any sense to me. Then, of course, I met, as many of you, wave painting, so bringing a galaxy girl to life in Blender. So that there are secrets here of very importance. The problem, of course, is that to get then the rigging, for the rigging part, right, folks, it's still the same thing about how to say it, yeah, the deforms, right, the skinning algorithm. And then another problem, if we match, for example, using corrective shape keys method, if we, even that is sort of complicated, because even if we match, like we try to mimic a rest position of the leg, unfortunately I cannot show here, the character is not modeled, right, it's not rigged yet. Even if I get the perfect pose somewhere, I need to make proper calculations according to the, not only the final state of that shape key on a certain pose, but also on intermediary poses, and it might, in theory, it might look easy to solve, but then as we start to see how the deforms and the artifacts start happening, then as we see the sequence of what we made, it's just not satisfying enough, and there is big gap in propositions, let's say like this, for tutorials. So for those kind of problems, when we have we want to really reproduce something of quality, like for me, I can draw all sorts of In principle, if I can't, I take I pick a reference, right, and train, and but I can take, in principle, draw any pose that I want in all sorts of angles and perspective, foreshortening, you name it. But when it comes to 3D, it's just not that simple to give the it's like make the sculpture in motion have good shapes on all poses. So this is the really complicated thing to do in rigging, at least in Blender, right? At least with those skinning algorithms. And okay, so enough talks, sorry about that. Let's go for these face things. And also let's start with the soundtrack here. Hope you didn't get bored with that speech, but I will talk about very important things and sharing the reference. So here, yeah, I could make some improvements here indeed, but I should be careful. This model sheet is sort of a mix of the previous one, so yeah, maybe the neck is better like that. Yeah, it is thinner, it makes sense. The hair though, I think I can, since I'm looking at this here, maybe I can what is happening here? Looks like there's a strange face here. Definitively there's a, I think that face is out in the wrong direction. Yeah, definitively this face is very strange. Let's see. Yeah, there are many strange things going on here, right? So let's try delete this. Maybe there was some, oh, there's some snapping. Yeah, so I've been disrupting mesh so many times because of this tool. Let's be really careful when using this tool. Okay, so here I think I found something. Alright, then alright, and then here we got that. Alright, and this is not a face, so this is a hole. So maybe I can separate this. There we go. So I think it was just an accidental snapping. Also, let's get Shift E -1, Shift E 0.3 actually. Alright, then let's go to the screencast keys. I think I can hide the hair for now. Show the body. Why the body is not showing here? Okay. Eyes. Why the eyes? Alright, so let's bring this to the side. Let's also get the chat to be here. I'm not sure I'm gonna use this part for now. Yeah, maybe I should. Yeah, let's hide this. It's creepy, but no, it's not too creepy. It's just strange. It looks like one of those Shaolin monks. Okay, let's try something here. Let's try again. So maybe this goes here. I'd like to lock a, you know what I mean, lock a viewport. Is it possible? I know that sort of occurs when we are working with the Alt Q, no, Control Q, this one. It's not, yeah, those are locked from, not this one, from rotations, but not from zooming. So we can screw up that. So for now I'm gonna ignore these. It will be safer also if I get all this right. Shift H. Let's make this into a vertex group, so at least it is protected. I cannot accidentally assign, sort by name. That's lock, so in case I lose my selection, then okay, let's use this. Can I lock viewport? Let's check this. Blender. No, this is not camera view. This is not Blender. Is that even Blender? Home tab layer properties. No, this is not Blender. No. Of the view camera. Maybe it's not the view camera. Yeah, that exactly. No, but this can help. I assume you have a view rotation that took. Enable align to view. Don't know what is this. Why an empty? Yeah, this is true. This I know. This intent, so you can maintain. But we cannot have specialize. There is a lock and lock. I haven't seen that. Someone got some stuff here. This lock rotation. This is view lock. Oh no, this is the script stuff. Well, this could be useful, but and then viewport lock add-on. Something easier maybe to input. I'll look on those kind of stuff. Yeah. Line active. Now that's too time consuming. Might have to have multiple cameras. It's a nightmare. Lock to cursor. Lock the pen. Now this is still a this seems to relate it to the camera, which is somewhere. Yeah, I have a camera there. Not sure what this does. Okay, the cursor. Okay. But I don't seem to be. I don't see any difference. Alright, so we don't know, but I'm curious about this. So they said that we could lock and unlock. But doesn't say where. doesn't seem to be the case. So this is locked, this is locked, this is... Ah, bad view. Ah, so here it is. Lock rotation sync. Ah, this might be good. Yes, now I cannot pen. No, I can, but it pens. Oh yes, that is so good. I didn't knew that, so that would have saved me. Oh my god. Or goddess. Welcome to the future. Clip contents. What is this? Okay, so let's just join area here. Alright, the only thing that is annoying is I don't seem to be able to swap those areas, right? Alright, no, this is this is what I was looking for a very long time. Can I? I'm still not satisfied. I need to augment the... Do I need the top view, for example? Can't I... Yeah, so apparently this is the best we can get from this, but that's okay. Let's... So this is just these ones, right? If we had more editions about that, that would be great. Like we could make some 3/4 view and stuff like that, and have it. Not sure that would make sense in this case, but that's all right. I need to be looking now at those shapes, right? The nose, right? Yeah, the tip of the nose. So let's try to... Proportional editing, maybe it will be good, but very small here. So she needs a pointy nose, but at the same time tiny, and so this is the tricky part for the adaptation. GG here. Let's get this part. So here I'm really not caring about the changes in relation to the original template, so this can be very differentiated according to requirements. I just want that the character, her name Aisha here, be better characterized whatever it... No, not proportional editing here, could be dangerous. So whatever that will take, well, not whatever it will take, but certain things I would not do. So I've changed here a lot from the model sheet, but maybe that will work. We'll see gradually. No, so instead of making yeah, so I see this mesh here, actually it needs to be refined, and for that the idea is to get it very close to the tip of the nose. Yeah, all those mesh here. Maybe I'll need another subdivision there. Yeah, this part maybe it's creating confusion, and subdivision that works, but it would be smart to stop it, collapse it here indeed, because yeah, so here I see we can see what I've done. So I've made her, the tip of her nose, less pointy, which is not good in some sense, but at the same time by flattening the other shapes, that will make it smoother, and I think in the end that gives her more delicate look. Let's sharper, less, yeah, smoother, less sharp, but more delicate. And then this rounder form, although from the top view it might look a bit weird, this is what certain character designs for try to do. Yeah, so maybe here this dips too much. Let's try to flatten this a little more. Maybe the top view will be always like that. And so by smoothing it out, it will sort of represent, I believe, a little better the fact that the nose of this character is a very tiny triangle, nearly a point in space. So it's that's why I need to reduce this by, and one way to do it is by flattening, or I try to make it sharp but very, very small. So that is sort of, that's why I'm approximating these vertices here, so I can combine sharpness with the flatness or small aspect of this nose. So it's sort of contradictory, and here from the side view it doesn't look nice. I need to conform here. Let's try again. Yeah, let's try to conform this here. So here I'm not using proportional editing because I don't want to mess with the eyes. I could just hide this mesh, but no, let's just for now do this. Let's scale this. Yeah, okay, it's not perfect, but for this character maybe I have other characters that would have in which the flattening thing and reducing thing and smoother aspect of the would be more accentuated. So her is really a special case that will be very, very hard to make in precision. But I got I'm close to it. It just so this small approximation I think is worth the effort, even though it's I don't see a lot of change here from the original, but after I can compare, well, for the front view maybe it looks, yeah, it looks better. So okay, this was a tiny retake, but by making these adjustments we can make the character design better in 3D. So here looks like something is a bit bizarre. Let's try to improve these ones. So let have whichever thing that may be a bit strange here, maybe I'll try to improve. This part is always complicated because there are too many faces. It's very easy to disrupt the profile here. So like we're dealing with many profiles, right? And definitely if we consider, so this is the concept that in 3D we start to use those, start working on those slices of profiles, and this can also have important signification for rigging as well. So this profile, for example, I can probably bring this forward, this one too. So to make the muzzle, the frontal part of the muzzle a bit more pronounced, otherwise it just creates this big thing which is very weird on the top view. So the importance is that at least the shape of the forehead on orthographic view doesn't get too like, yeah, and currently it is a bit creating this big thing which is not good. So here this can be reduced. There are many ways to deal with that, but one way is to try to bring forth this protrude right? Some of these shapes. So in this case, of course, if I do here for the forehead, this will ruin what I've done with the hair, sort of, but that might be useful. So since I'm looking at this thing here, I can probably try to make these shapes a little better here. There's also the curvature of the eye. So the quad view is good then, because it makes it easier to work on the from the top view, which we cannot ignore this totally when making this character design. So actually it's a good thing that I'm using this stuff here. Let's see what this does to the face. Yes, it improved. Of course, this was just the forehead or the top part. I need to reproduce this in these other profiles here, which can be a little complicated, but we'll do gradually. I'm not using proportional editing here. That will be too dangerous. I don't want to mess with the mesh of the eyelids and eyelashes. I'm considering, some artists are talking about they are talking about lower eyebrow, which is actually this feature that it's like the eyelid, but it's like actually it's not the eyelid, is yeah, it is the upper part here. It will be this line here, or maybe this line here, depends on the character design, but could be this or this. But so I'm considering making that to, but in order to model that or to rig that thing, I will really need to confirm, because this is not a feature I use a lot on my character design. I use, but it's like some sort of automatic in a way that it's too tiny, so I haven't, sometimes I just don't draw it. Depends on the eyelash, they are also often hiding that part, that anatomic part, but it is very good for expression, and maybe I have been missing it for the modeling part. So good thing that I try to reconsider it. Okay, so here let's maintain the curvatures there. Try to match. This maybe just a little behind. And as for this, can maybe protrude this a little more. So we have, yes. So now you see the forehead is rounder, that's much better. And we can also do the same here, since I'm working with that. Maybe this looks a bit weird here, because this looks like a diamond quad here. It's not a good choice, but we understand. At least what matters that we have these things going on. Yeah, at least we got this rounder, not be confused with, so this is the forehead or the head that's making, so this, now I need to work on, so this could be solved directly from the model sheet or the 3D, yeah, but it's very hard for certain to work on the model sheet of the proper 3/4 view for, I think, any face, right? It really requires a lot of geometric understanding of some shapes that are already impossible character designs in 3D. from the original, right, cartoon drawing. I know this because I've made myself impossible character designs. It works as long as it is 2D, right? And then we can cheat with some 3D techniques if we really want to maintain that. My approach, it's called camera keys and automorph camera keys. It could be other techniques, not necessarily shape keys. There's this Japanese long feature film animation called Bell. I watched it I think 2 years ago to understand what that about. They used, some guy on Blender forums told me that my research on character design, you could look at this, and so very nice. He didn't explain very well what he was attempting, but he was trying to find a way, and then then I attempt something, then I realized it was very feasible in Blender, and I've shared that at that time. Took some thought, but actually, and another artist there, Blender artist, also gave his own contribution with some sort of geometry nodes, I think, and shape keys. So there are many approaches to that indeed, but that is when we really we want to have different angles of the character where the mesh adapts like automatically. So according to the camera view, the angle, and the angle that the face is being viewed, even the body, so you can rig the entire character for that. But usually it's the face that is more important. However, what I found out, in spite of the fact that this is very, very interesting technique for impossible designs, or even to improve the appearance of the character, the 3D character, stylized 3D character, it's also, what I've learned is that by just trying to make the 3D, the model sheet, researching the best model sheet to 3D character possible, we can sort of anticipate some of the requirements of this cheating. I call it cheating. Yeah, it's cheating the 3D, but it allows the 3D shapes, right? So it doesn't mean that we can solve everything just by this I'm telling, just by improving the character design, as also the tutorial that I've mentioned in the beginning, right? But it is true that if we do enough of this research, we can have much better angles naturally for the character, in 3D character, in whichever, for most angles. And sometimes, if we start to contemplate styles of 3D characters without cheating, we can eventually, that started to happen to me, I started to like certain characteristics of 3D cartoons, right? And I started to think, well, look, my style is not so terrible in 3D, the way that usually 3D looks like. So I started to understand that maybe instead of trying to reproduce my style, my 2D style to 3D perfectly, what I found out is that, wait, it's a new style. It's the same style but on a 3D language. So I started to decline, no, that's not the, this is a verb for Latin language declinations, but in English is something else, they don't call declination. We can derive from the same, from a style or an original style, a 2D, multiple 2D even, and 3D or multiple 3D. So that means that this, what I'm doing here, is not the perfectionist attempt to reproduce the 2D. No, I gave up on that quest. A noble quest, but too noble actually. And so my conclusion was that I'm not trying to escape the automorph thing. Eventually, in the end, maybe if I find it really important, for if I'm doing certain angles too much, and I found out there's no other ways, then maybe yes, let's do the automorph thing. I know how to do it. It's just that it's more, right? It's more stuff to do in rigging, so it's quite a lot of work if we add that up to everything else, right? So it's good to consider it, and because of the quality that I want, it's likely I might want to do that. But if I can get far enough with these improvements of the character designs, oh yeah, actually I was doing wrong. What I need is to pull these profiles here, right? So I can eliminate that too angular, you see? Now it starts to get rounder muzzle. So it is okay that it protrudes, but I need to have it and here maybe take off the proportional editing. Maybe I'm lacking some subdivision, especially here, I'm not sure, but let's see, where is that? Wow, maybe this should be more to the front, right? So there's nothing. Interesting. Yeah, the top view really suggests. Okay, so I see what's happening. So this is I also need to make this curvature here. So getting lost here. So apparently these are too far, right? Let's approach them here. Let's move this like here. I think I have a problem here. Let's move these. So you see the cheeks, the cheekbones. Why this is appearing like that? Should be aligned here. Alright, so this part I haven't understood, but it is working. Let's see that. No, it is not working. We need some vertex here. Yeah, maybe I need to bring this up. Alright, so it's starting to see. So maybe I'll really need to Oh, and look where this is. Yeah, this is the tip, right? It is just too far, too close to the ear, too far back in the head. This should be closer here. Yeah. Yeah, but then it doesn't really match the I see the front here. Maybe I should try something like that. So middle term, right? Let's see where it was before. It was here, right? So I'll try to bring it slightly forward. Yeah. And this part will be the back part, so let's see. Yeah, that can work. Okay. Let's smooth these faces. Now that doesn't look bizarre no more, but here we have more cheekbone pronounced, and most importantly, that I was trying to correct here, we don't have anymore this, so this is respecting the curvature somewhat, and here this look distorted, but this is just because I need to apply the same curvature or somewhat this to these other faces here, to these other edges here. So all the curvatures must be matching. So a 3D, with a 3D 3/4 view, I mean, with a 3/4 view model sheet, or even more than a progression of those views, if it is well done enough regarding the 2D and 3D adaptation, if it is well enough studied, then we can I could immediately model the face without these errors. For some reason I just keep having to fix this manually every time. I'm getting used to it, but it's still very challenging. So now this is, when we look here, sometimes it might be a little, maybe it's a bit too protruded, but the top view is much better now. But this top view is not super important, right? But it tells something. It tells something is very bizarre, and we might not see it normally, but as we start to look the character from certain angles, oh, something is really bizarre here. So this is the very important things to be investigating. So here, let's see what else. Yes, so that part, yes, so I need to know what's happening here behind the head. I need to match these lines. So this is, right now this is bad. So apparently I have these profiles here. Let's move this up all together with some proportional editing, right? So I can match these angles there. Let's make a few rotation here. Let's get here too. Let's pull this up. Here I don't want to be changing this. I've attempted to recently to do a 3/4, to work with the 3/4 view, but I ended up finding that it is way more complicated than I was thinking. My 3/4 drawing was not totally 3/4, so it just made more confusion. So now I know that in order to achieve that 3/4 or gradual rotations, like for example in Blender this is 1, 2, so yeah, the first one, front view, 1, 2, 3, 4, this will be the middle. There are 7 steps, so 3 steps are 1, 2, 3, then the 4th in the middle, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, which is the side view. Then in the opposite direction, 7 here, side view, 7, 6, 5, 4, the middle. This is the true 3/4 view. Okay, 4, 3, 2, 1, and this is the front view. So I have to really know what the 3D character is in 3/4 view, and there is no 3D quarters. Like when I draw, when I try to make a 3D quarters, it's like it's an abstraction, right? It's not 100% 3/4. It's hard to really know what is the 3/4. We got some approximation thing. At least the character that I draw, right? The characters that I draw, which are complex shapes, even though stylized. So it's maybe easier with a human face, academic drawing, right? Even that, at least we have real references for that if we want. So so the problem is that we need to be going back and forth between 2D and 3D until we know. If we don't know, in my case I don't know. I've tried and then I realized that I couldn't really do a fair 3/4 view. I could do something approximate. So my drawing was maybe more like this or this, but not exactly the 3/4. And then I needed to discover. So the one good way to do is make a rotational animation, right? 2D animation, right? Draw all the propositions, and from this rotation try to figure out what would be exactly the middle one between in the in-betweens and breakdowns, and that could be the real 3/4. Then we have because the model is not ready, the 3D model, we need to retake the 3D model. We need to find what is the real 2D 3/4 view to find the real 3D 3/4 view for that character. So it's very messy. And then of course, if I try to model without a proper reference the 3/4 view, it's like I'm trying to draw the 3/4 view. So and modeling takes much longer time. So and we don't have reference. So it's very frustrating. Like drawing blindly. Okay. But by doing this exercise, research exercise, eventually, maybe it's not too, it doesn't take that long, it requires a lot of technical patience and artistic patience for those stuff. And then if we are able to, then we have the ideal or very accurate, we can come up with a very accurate model sheet, right, based on 2D and 3D interaction. And from that we can model complex character design following those front view and side view and even 3/4 view if there is available, or other view, stop view even. I didn't use stop view, but maybe I should for the next. Yeah, so I believe I'm gonna try that next time that I attempt one of those characterizations, adaptations, right? A next character, and then I will put this. It will be like a proof of concepts. Yes, it will work if I work properly, so I don't have doubt that it will work. My question is how hard that is, and if there is a specific method that can be simplified, right? Can be synthesized in a readily usable, understandable, didactic or pedagogic way, because it is actually pretty complicated. People that work in the industry might be very familiarized with this kind of process, but from my experience, maybe it's just my problem to deal with 2D and 3D stuff, maybe, but according to what I've seen and the challenge of character design and adaptation, then I'm pretty confident to say that this actually is not trivial. It can be extremely complicated stuff. And I don't know why I struggle personally a lot with that. I just know that, yeah, I struggle a lot with that. So, but also I know that the character design that I try to do, that I do in 2D and that I try to do in 3D is original. So maybe that's why it has some, it's sort of a in-between. I will describe it like an in-between. There are many styles that may look like this right today. Surprisingly, it is a mix between certain anime cartoons that also exist, and Sonic or furry Sonic, Disney and anthropomorphic characters, right? That has this muzzle shape, right? So, no, to be fair, not really original stuff, but the way I draw, I'm sure this is original, because I have to reach that on my own after like 10 years of drawing. Something that wasn't as interesting for myself, at least. And then to get these shapes, yeah, one style that I really talk about 2D, right? More recently in this attempt also of adaptation, right, 2D to 3D, there are a few drawing styles that caught my attention. But no, actually I'll just mention one. It is the, how do you call it, has been hostel or hotel, original 2D animation TV series show, I think. I've watched the pilot episode just to be aware of what that was about. Marvelous character design, like that is really rich. The expressions, like really expressive, and very beautiful drawings. And they seem very compatible. Seem like, not that they are. Something about their expressions seemed quite compatible, or maybe not compatible, but if that can be achieved in 3D rigging expression, face expression, that is like the goal, the ultimate. Well, ultimate is too strong, but that would be like the. So it inspired me for 3D rigging cartoon characters. Like, well, that if I can, some of those expressions were sort of a bit similar to expressions that I myself did on this style on 2D, but of course I still believe the Hostel is much more advanced expressions. It's more exaggerated. It's more diversified. I go more in the direction of anime, which usually is more cliche. I don't know, that school of drawing is. The simplifications sometimes they are a bit arid in comparison to the cartoons that I've mentioned, that kind of more Disney and maybe European school. There are different schools, but the interesting of Has-Been Hotel, I think they made like a super merge of everything. Like, it's genius. They are not unique in what they do. There are many styles artists that can do that. I can't. But for some reason, in 3D, I found that it works trying to rig those kind of expressions, even to this kind of character. So if you look, I have some live stream on mouth rigging, the latest ones, where I was doing something. There's maybe more than a month that I finished those live streams, and then I was doing mouth rigging with teeth, deforming teeth, and the first time I really reached that some level of mouth rigging that would surprise me, and maybe even I was using the universal sonic mouth rig set up for that, and I was building on top of it my own understanding, also based on Pixar, some concepts, 3D concepts from Pixar, or at least what that started to call my attention, because on a certain discussion like 3 years ago maybe on Blender Artist Forum, someone asked, how do you do this mouth rigging of Pixar? How do you do those things in Blender? Can it be done? A very critical question. At that time I didn't know nearly anything about rigging, but it caught my attention. I was learning, and then for some reason, it's expressions. I really never cared to draw a lot of those expressions in 2D. I was too comfortable with my own. I knew they existed. Some European BD, some American cartoon, and whichever other styles that exist world around would do interesting cartoony face expressions, right? Exaggerating facial features, sometimes looking more more realistic, sometimes more uh, more sometimes less realistic. So what is happening here? This is not, yeah, so something about with a bottom view, but it won't really help here unless I got hidden everything, right? For the face, to look at the face. Yeah, so the problem is under the chin. So these faces here, they probably are sort of distorted. Let's look at another. So I need to usually flatten these. This can be dangerous to be smoothing this face like that, but it can get too worse than it is now. So flatten these. Here, oh yes, I see. Maybe this is, here might be the distortion. Maybe I need another face loop here to organize this stuff. Yeah, so I need to have a flow here. Here I see something that can be a problem. I don't have a proper face loops besides this one. Right. Maybe this, pull this a little forward, not sure. Yeah, this will be a mystery here to solve. Maybe here I've, oh yes, I see what's happening. So I need to pull this down. So this is the one that needs to delineate the chin. So yeah, it can be that the lines here are not matching for the model sheet. So this is a horrible thing that can make everything more, yeah, it creates some inconsistency. So why there's what is this face here? I think this was just a mistake. The texture thing that is going on here is just an old texture that I'm looking in this shading mode so that I can okay, so here we see that yeah, so it's much more rounder here, and and from below it's actually looking best from below but we have a curvature, so if I exaggerate this even more, that might be a bad idea. Here there is still some possibility of maybe playing with this. Maybe I can do some adaptations here which are not very clear what this should be doing. Maybe this should go inside, yeah, definitely. And then this, maybe it should be more pointy. Let's see from the front view. Then I have this, which I have a conflict here, yes. So this starts to go, it's like this simplification, right? Let's smooth this. No, let's just smooth here. This maybe I get yeah, this is good. I think it can work. You see, even a very strange angle like this, if the character is modeled in some specific ways, it can be a cool view to have. So let's take a last look here. So you see the tip here is here, but that was maybe the mistake. This is like, it's very cool, so it's like the tip is more to the front, the cheekbone is more here, and this is more like the jaw line that should go up. So we have something of that kind here, and this start moving up, and then here it starts to start to connect, and I don't know why it is lagging. I don't know what happened, folks. This suddenly is starting to lag a lot, like if I have... Oh, it is playing. Okay, I thought nothing of relevance. I just press space bar and start playing the animation, but there is nothing. So okay, let's say I pick this, and then these ears. No, let's Alt H. Now I just select this. Maybe I can do some adjustments here. Let's save. There's a while I don't save. Smooth this. And I could try to make some... I don't like the differentiation here. The shading here, it looks like it's not doing what it should. So maybe for here I can do what artists usually do, maybe some inset. Yeah, usually that is welcome, no big deal here. Let's see if can I shift back bar, backslash. This is my precious. No, it's my own shortcut. And here we can get this, and then is this adequate? Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe I need to GG, GG, make some differentiation on how that happens. And of course, let's check what this looks like in terms of crease. 0.3, right? So I pick all that. Shift E -1, Shift E 0.3, there you go. Why there is this thing here? It's like some okay, so these were going too much inwards. I still see some strange thing there. Yeah, there'll be other ways to achieve this result, right? So this is overly simplified, but it already gives a different outlook, so maybe I could do a little better work here, right, folks? But so some crease edge sharp there. Maybe here too, why not? No, just yeah, let's just leave it like that for now. And it's like not that I don't give too much importance to the ears, but I don't need them to be super developed, right, in this alien character. Just does like the shading there, but I think this I could find better solutions in the future, right? For now, yeah, she's looking, yeah, so her face is a bit roundish now, but what I like is that what I like is that, yeah, at least for the top view of that thing, I got the nose. There, a lot of things were improved, but this is one question here I'm still having. Maybe I need to sharpen that out. Yeah, I still need her to have a sharper, but this sharpness shouldn't be achieved by doing back what there was, like shrinking this angle here. Although I'm doing this just a little, it could be also by reducing the mesh, so scaling down in some sense, right? Scaling down the muzzle. It's too puffy, so the sharpness can be achieved now maybe by on some features here, although I have some things here will not help at all if I am not careful. Yeah, so it's about this, right? Reducing, maybe smoothing. Smoothing will make it. Where's the model sheet? Let's save. Let's look at the model sheet here. Where's the model sheet? Looks like the Grease pencil disappeared. Oh, here it is. I was looking at the wrong thing, right? So yeah, so like making these features here smaller without affecting the shapes we have. All right, so where is the okay, something weird is happening. Maybe why is there two? Now there's a backup. I don't need to get it selected in order for it to be visible. Weird. Maybe I did something here. Okay, I can't figure out what's happening, so I'm going to save here. Sometimes these kind of things happen. It's like it disappeared from... Let's also go back to some... Yeah, she looks... I think she looks better. It's just that a bit more... If she's... Yeah, it's this thing about the sharpness. But where is the model sheet? And yes, maybe it would be the case that this is in the way for some important developments here. All right, I need to find this model sheet. This is a backup, right? So it's... Oh, I think I know what happened, right? Is it possible that... I deleted it from the... keyframe? No, I couldn't delete the keyframe because it would be locked. Okay, so no, it couldn't be a keyframe thing. Oh, there it is. It is a keyframe thing. How did this happen? Okay, the action editor. Ah, there you go. I've made some keyframes of the... Alright, let's move everything to the F. No, it is... Alright, so what do I need to do? They are all locked, but by being unlocked I cannot move them. But how then did I move? Okay, move. I can move this one. Okay, so I know these are model sheets, right? And I don't care about annotations, even though there seem to be... I think this is not useful. Let's delete this. I know that what I need is the model sheets, so basically I'm gonna unlock everything and then snap those together, snap them here, and set them here, so then they don't risk to be... Yeah, so maybe I unlocked, I don't know, maybe I did that before at some point and accidentally. So now that's it. I was annoyed because maybe I just deleted them, but it was not the case. Just moved accidentally while they were unlocked. So here, let's hide everything. Alright, so we're back to this. Let's go for the quad view. This action really we don't need. Little more space for us, and here... Alright, so the key thing here, let's do this. It will gain some time. I will enable this subdivision, but just once here, and from here I can try to get these shapes to the character, to the model, right? Very sharp there. Can align some stuff here, I think. Why I'm working here? If this I can work from the front view, right? Okay, so here must be very patient. Maybe use some proportional editing here. The problem is that I'm not really seeing the mesh here. Still hard to see the mesh. Yeah, so there's this deficiency of face loop here because of my idea or idealism that I should try to do super low poly, and that of course has advantages and disadvantages. So I see, now we got some sharpness, and yeah, so this is some peculiarity of 3D character design. There's just two dimensions to make the perfect shape. I really don't know how sculptors deal with this. I mean, real life, real sculptors, not 3D sculptors. Although, how to handle these never finished shapes in 3D, right? In real sculptors, I can imagine though how the 3D sculptors in 3D they handle that, like never finished sculpt, just as I never finished modeling here. So this will be like a never-ending thing, basically. I sense that. So like, oh, this is never perfect. Fix something there, reappear some problem elsewhere, and at some point, some perfection might be, something close to that might be achieved, but I don't know after how long. So that was a very dangerous rabbit hole. And but you see this shape here, rounder, yes, because of this peculiarity of the top view that we want, right? A rounder forehead, a rounder muzzle that has some flesh, right? It is very bizarre, and I've noticed that it was terrible when I first realized that. Oh, also it could be that the eyeball or eye curvature of the eye is not matching the curvature there. So maybe I should do the same to this eye. Let's see what it is looking. But that would be another, yeah, another highly consuming task. Let's make it selectable. Yeah, actually not so much, because it's, let's see the curvature. No, the curvature of the eye is okay. Maybe it starts to get too, let's see. No, it's sort of consistent, but maybe it is a bit too deepened inside the eye hole, or not. And this part is too, it's a bit too. So this is one problem of the character design, so that I needed to find out. For this character, I've decided that to maybe place her eye a little higher. It might be strange, maybe it is working for the model sheet, so this is why I've made the decision from the model sheet, right? So here I can probably re-snap this, and here and here and here, and yeah, and this one, just this should be enough, right? Something weird happening for some reason. Maybe I'll have to reposition some of these faces. No, it is because of the the curvature, right? Even though the snapping managed to work, I have a problem here with this interpenetrations. That's so maybe I can have this like 0.3. All right, still not good there, and this is not very nice, right? So okay, I have another idea how to solve that. So this could be achieved if I can reposition maybe this face here, this edge here, maybe here more to the top. Let's make this here also. Yeah, maybe let's get this closer here. No, not like this. Here, and then maybe this one not snapping here. So just move this a little more to the back. Another way would be to make more subdivision. I'm not sure. It's just there that it is happening, so maybe move this up. Okay, that can work. It's not perfect, but the curvature all right, let's do this for now, and then hide this. And looks like for the face that was a lot of work. Hold on, these, yeah, there's the eyelashes, and then there is, don't worry about this, it's normal, it's snapped eyelids mesh onto the eye, which is a different mesh object. So on edit mode it is like that, but on object mode we see the eyelids are on top because of shrink wrapping. So this is it's not rigged yet, but it's ready for this special rig that I make there for the eyelids. And here, so how far did we reach here? Yeah, so I'm not intending to make this change here. I think the face is sharp, cute, and stylized more or less according to no snapping here. Attention, it did snap. Okay, let's try to change this angle there. Yeah, so this is a problem here. Maybe I cannot dissolve this. It requires to be like that in this amount of geometry. So, but this is, of course, it's causing the problem. Unless no, not even that. On the crease. Maybe bring this like that. This sort of creates the curvature. Yeah, there's a strange thing there still from this angle. Maybe this more to the inside. Oh, I see what's going here. Okay, maybe doing this here. Shift E 0.3. Yeah, it still don't solve that little bump there. Strangely, we don't see it from here, it's just from... Or it's actually an illusion? No, it is there. Yeah, certainly I don't want that, so... It compromised the silhouette. But yeah, for now, let's ignore that. This is one of the problems using this method of subdivision and crease. It can be very helpful to avoid having, to have a model with a very low poly model with those creases, and then we don't have a lot of mesh to be editing. That simplifies a lot. But on the negative part, the counterpart, is that certain details get so complicated to handle, and sometimes you need to create more edge creases like that. All this becomes a whole different complexification, and you have to handle all the edge crease, and if there are some edge crease with some difference. So in a project like that I really want precision, the drawback is a bit too I miss a little more subdivisions, real mesh subdivisions, and then maybe, so not super low poly, just medium low poly, or intermediate low poly, so that I wouldn't need to really, maybe I wouldn't need even subdivision surface modifier to start with, or I would still need it, but I will just need to use these creases for this specialization only for like here on the tip of the nose, but not like everywhere, to like I'm doing here. If I took the creases off here, this model will be probably very messy. I can do this by... No, not very messy, but certain characteristics will be just lost. We won't see a lot of interesting details. So yes, so maybe on a next character, on a next project, maybe my attempt would not be to be used, maybe for the hair. Yes, that technique is quite good, because the hair is like those chaotic shapes. Not that this is not chaotic, but like sometimes it's hard to get the shapes we want, even stylized, with little amount of geometry. And also this is a big deal for rigging and mesh topology, which relates to rigging. So I had so much problem here on the leg, not so much problem, but I had problem with the legs because I had to where's here I had problems with the leg because the leg had just 4, like we see 4 face loop. It was a 4th face loop. Now I added a 5th face by making this subdivision here on the back of the arm, crossing the elbow, and here wait, 1 2 3 4 5, yes, 5. So I had to make this subdivision here in the side, so I pushed the one that was on some sort of here, I pushed it to the front, so it is crossing the front of the knee, just to have this side. It's a bit bizarre right now, I haven't even realized that, but this is like covering the side and something like here, right? So it's from the front, so it's, yeah, it's a bit chaotic, but it works, or it seems to be working. And then just to add this 5th face loop, which is sort of irregular, but because the leg is very complex as it reached the, so I needed more geometry to have, if as much as I was trying to simplify, this was the limit, right? That now if I don't do this, then this won't work. I was already considering that I'll have big deal with the rigging later because of the topology not being sufficient, the geometry, right? So this is why maybe not super low poly, but yeah, maybe where I could have more or less like I was already working, right? Maybe some meshes I could simplify in some places, like maybe the hand. I'm not super fan of the mesh topology I've made here, but if it works and rigging, that will be a good point. And yes, so I could avoid an over exaggeration with those creases, which cause a lot of, yeah, so achieving real mesh shapes, good organic shapes without requirement of subdivision and creases. So this is I think it's what I've learned from this approach here. So I'll still use crease for a subdivision modifier, maybe for crease for these special parts of the model, but the main technique I was doing would be for stuff that are not like here, maybe some clothing, some stuff that are don't need the kind of concentration or precision that the body requires. Okay, folks, so soundtrack seems to have finished. Let's no, it didn't finish. I was tricked by this stuff, right? So basically, folks, that's it. I think this concludes all the model ship things. Yes, apparently yes. Let's see. No, this is not. Yes, this solves the muzzle region, nose, 3D style adaptation, yes. overall face. We also did for what is it, cheek bones, whatever, many things, yeah, etc. Today 12 September, so let's move this down. See the progression here. When I start the character, this was in late August. So now what needs to be done is Aisha skin texture. Okay, we're going for the shading, right? Shading for shine. Okay, this I need to research. And then rigging, yeah. So we completed with the remodel retakes, right? This great achievement for this this stream, folks. So I survived this challenge. Now I'm better at doing level up, right? I think I'm better at doing those things, and I was exploring this approach as I've explained before, and it seems like the back how do you call the negative part of this is a bit frustrating and time consuming. So that's it. Next time I'll start a new character from this cast of characters, sci-fi-ish characters. I will try to go a little back to my original approach, which is a bit more natural base subdivisions on the mesh, but still use this for maximum. And as for the hairstyles, I'm intrigued to give a new, give a new chance to the traditional technique of the curve hair. The only thing that I dislike is that to have to apply it, which is sad for the rigging part, because the wave paint of that hair, the curve, we can't wave paint that. I think it doesn't work very well, so you need to, and then by converting the curves to mesh, then we destroy the, well, we have to keep a backup if we want, right? So this is the sad part. It's destructive, right? While this approach, we can still, not that we can't do this through the, after the curve is converted, of course we can, but the application of the curve, I doubt it creates this cleanliness and curviness, so you'll have to reach that by, yeah, so this is something that I need to explore too. If I can from a curve create this kind of geometry with all this, well, not all, but already something good as this, then in terms of clean subdivisions and okay, good shapes, then that will be a good a fair thing. Alright folks, thanks for watching. Sorry for excessive chatting. Now I'll have to be going. Take care and happy blending. See you tomorrow for the continuation of that. And as you see, that would be the texture stuff, and I'll make a little research to try to bring all those, so maybe all those 3 tomorrow, and then lips on the weekends, and then it's already rigging, and that will be big stuff, I promise. So yeah folks, take care, happy blending, bye.